know if you can see it, but there's a boat just there, and it's got 8 German Shepherds on it, running amok. The boat's a bit of a sort of falling apart, but it's a pretty cool dog boat. Anyway, sailing north in the Broadwater, staggering speed of like 2 knots. And anyway, I caught up with Peter from Doxy, and he's on the internet sailing up north, and he's got a few battery issues. So I popped in, gave him my phone number, and offered him a lift to to the battery shops and to Chandlery's or whatever. So it was good to see him. It's always good to see people on an adventure. Anyway, my adventure is slow and steady today, but still loving it. Absolutely beautiful and awesome. I haven't been out for a while, but once again, that feeling of lifting the sails, turning the engine off, is just amazing. I love it. Hey, I'm going past the Southport Seaway, as you can see, and got the sail set, doing about 4.5 knots, but I've just hit the current going out, and the current going out is doing about 1.5 knots. So our speed is down to 3 knots, but check this out. I've got a boat, she's a 40-footer, only got a big Genoa out, and of course when there's 2 boats sailing in the same direction, it's a race. I don't care what anybody else says. The skipper over there, he's looking at me and he's going, damn, that little boat is going faster than us. We might have to lift up our mainsail. So, but the trick is, I'm on the port side of the western side of the channel, which has got slightly less current. So I reckon I'm doing about, if he was over here, I reckon we'd be doing exactly the same speed. Anyway, we'll see how we go. The race is on. Alright, I'm going to show you one of my shortcuts. Speaking of which, I better tighten that bang. Anyway, my gypsy pole that I've set up there, yes, I should have a halyard going up, holding it up, and I should have a line going to the front and holding it forward. But instead of doing all that, what I've got is I've just hooked it up to, you know, the hook, I'm not sure what you call the end of it, onto a loop that's on my sheet, the red rope that pulls on. So effectively it's sort of stuck there. Now, I know I can hear people already, even from this distance away, going, oh, you're not supposed to do that. And well, you're right, except the beauty about this pole is it's adjustable at the end. So the problem hooking this up is if I have to pull in, the wind gets up and I have to pull the pole in and the waves start going and the wind's rocking, it's really hard, quite dangerous to try and unhook things that are far out there. It's pretty hard. I've done it a couple times, but what I do is I sheet it in right up, I pull in the Genoa, furl it in, so it's right up at the front stay, and so it's in there, it can fit just inside that distance, and from there I can simply just unhook it from the bow and then unhook it from the mast, and at both stations I've got something to hold on to or even to clip myself into to keep myself safe. But yeah, my gypsy pole setup, not as conventional as most people would like, I'm sure, but it works for me. Well, here we go. Not only have we overtaken them, we're flogging them, and it's like a really, boat speed's calculated with the waterline length, and that's a lot longer than mine. It's got a huge Genoa, which would probably be equivalent to my mainsail, maybe a bit less. So yeah, I do have a bit more sail out, but that is a fast boat. I think it's a Beneteau 40 or 42, and so it's a fast boat. But my little Mojo, she was raced for 20 years for good reason. She flies, and I know everybody says it, but and I'll say it too, but my boat's the best boat. I'm so glad to have this boat. Other boats I've got are awesome and fantastic, but this one, Mojo, suits me like you wouldn't believe. So I'm absolutely stoked to have such a great boat. I'm going directly downwind. If you have a look at the Genoa, it keeps on wanting to flap, and I'm at that point where if I didn't have the gypsy pole out, it'd be flapping and going back and going forth, and the only thing that's going to do is sort of wear out your sail a fair bit. So the gypsy pole's, there you go, it's doing its job, it's holding it out there. Yes, it's not the best sort of sailing setup, but it's better than just about anything else I'd have. And yeah, so we're absolutely flying along here. Normally this boat doesn't do so good going downwind, but she's doing a great job today. We're doing against a 1.5 knot current. We're doing 3.5, so it's about 5 knots of above water speed. You can see the Beneteau way off in the distance, and I feel a bit for them because to put their mainsail up, I'm assuming they're like this boat, that they'll have to turn into the wind, which means shooting out with the current and losing heaps of ground, or plough on further up the channel where the current's not as bad and do it there. Whereas I did mine way back at the start on the other side of the channel by the beginning, so they're sort of stuck there now. They can't put their main up, but they need it to go anywhere decent, you know. But yeah, just touching in base with a Mojo brekkie, can of sardine and some Pepsi. This is what happens when you don't meal prep and you just have to eat something on the go. I've got sausages and stuff. I was going to go sailing outside and whale watching, but you can see the weather, and I just thought, you know what, if I get hit by a rain squall, I think I might just drop anchor somewhere and set it out. But when you're in the ocean, you're stuck, you're sort of going for it. So thought I'd just have a quiet, leisurely, like a relaxing one. And it was nice to meet Peter from Doxy. So he's got a little YouTube thing going on. We'll give him a hand a little bit later in the week. Hopefully get him sorted out with a few things he needs. And really today is just about kicking back, letting the sails do the work. Probably have to have a decent motor home, and probably about 2 to 3 hours of just taking it easy before I get to jumping pin. Anyway, it is the shortest day. It is, I guess, technically smack in the middle of winter, but the day's pretty good. It's like we're so lucky up here. The cold westerlies haven't hit. Well, they're not hitting now anyway. So it's pretty warm. Had a jacket like a dawn-ish sort of time. But yeah, and the old bald head, I just keep the beanie on, just makes me feel comfortable. Anyway, I was chatting with Simon Carter. We were both anchored at Peel Island on the western side a while ago, and we both decided that our you know, I'm on the wrong side of this beacon. It's in the middle, about 6 meters of water, but I'm cutting the corner, and you can do that. I've got a centerboard, so I can just raise it up if I hit the ground. And we both, you know, admitted, which we shouldn't have, that you know, we touch the bottom every now and then. If I touch here, it's just sand. It'll scrape a few barnacle bills off the bottom, and I'll just press a button and up it goes. And that's one of the big advantages about a trailer sailor. You know, the depth, you know, you have to worry about, but when push comes to shove, press a button, up you go, and off you go, see you later. So that's been really good for me crossing bars as well. The 1770 bar, which is bloody horrible, I had to have it all the way up. You know, took waves and stuff over that, and had the centerboard up pretty much all the way. So the boat still, you know, even with it up, it still has a lot of ballast down below, which keeps it upright. The ballast doesn't come into the hull, it sits underneath, so even with the centerboard down, it'd still take a lot to tip me over, to tip one of these Nolex 30s over. Anyway, back into sardines and Pepsi for brekkie. Just thought I'd point out, and well, heading downwind, there's literally, I would say, a couple of knots of wind. We're doing about 1 knot of wind over ground, and I would say we're going against a 1 knot current. But this little boat, I'm sitting underneath the underneath the, you know, it's staying dry, which is great. But this little boat, look at the back here, it's still putting along, and I don't know how it's moving at 2 knots of wind in practically nothing. But I'm not complaining. This boat is just fast. In downwind conditions, it's I would say it's its slowest leg, and compared to other boats, the hull shape and whatnot makes it slower, and sail configuration makes it slower downwind. But in this tiny little breeze, this light little boat, trailer sailor, is just gliding through the water, and I don't know how it's doing it in bugger or wind, but it is. And we're waiting for a little squall. One will kick in. We've got this little rain thing going on and clouds, so it goes from nothing to 7 or 8 knots, then to nothing, and the boat just keeps on going forward. So this is what the gypsy pole looks like when I've furled in the sail. So in strong winds, if I can't deal with the gypsy pole because of waves or strong winds or whatever, furl it in, happy days, get somewhere flat, less windy, and deal with it then. So I reckon that's a pretty good idea. Anyway, I know a lot of you will be cringing, pulling your hair out, but it's a great little option if you need to in the tough stuff. Alright, we've had some rain squalls and some wind, and I've had like 15 knots come in for a little while, but as you can see, it's not doing a lot. And see the clouds on the horizon, all of them are puffy and sitting, none of them are sort of slanting like that. So it tells me there's not a lot of wind happening anywhere around here, except underneath the rain, which comes and goes. So the motor's back on, and we'll putt along. As soon as there's even a hint of wind, I'll cut out the motor, and I'll enjoy that little bit of wind as it comes by. Okay, we've had showers on and off all day, but check out the glass out. That's pretty cool. I'm very impressed with that. And no point having the sails up, so putting them away, starting to sort of pack up the boat, so when I hit the marina, there won't be too much to do. And that's the beauty about paying for a marina with a trailer boat. Cruise in, tie it off, lock the door, see you later. Okay, so this job I'm doing is making a homemade shower, I guess. So previously I'd go outside and I'd have my hot water system set up, and it was all good and everything, but I found in winter the cold air is just a bit too much. So what I have done is I've had the hot water system there and had a shower inside, and that's all been good and everything, but it's all a bit cluttered and a bit hairy going. So I wanted to make something simpler, get rid of the need to have the hot water system at all, and just have a system where I can fill up basically a bucket of warm water and pump it up through. So let's have a look at what I've done. So here I've got a 10 litre container with a hose fitting at the bottom. It goes around behind And I've got it plumbed in. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but it's plumbed into the pump that's under there that uses this hose. So what I'm going to try and do is put warm water in there just by using, you know, the fresh water out of there and water from the kettle. Put it in there, get a nice temperature, turn that on, sit in here, and we have a shower. So the water will go down the bottom, of course, as expected, and then I've got a bilge pump at the bottom that pumps it back up through down the sink. It sounds really complicated, but hopefully it's pretty simplistic once we get used to it, once I do it a couple of times. And I'm hoping that when I have my brother and his family over, or my daughters when they come over, they can have a simplistic shower, and they can feel safe about it as well. Indoors, but they can shut the door for a bit of privacy. I have daughters, so it's kind of needed. And they're all quite small, so happy days, a small shower won't hurt them. Anyway, that's the next big job. But I did want to point out what happens whenever you work on a boat. Everything's packed away nice and neatly, but when you've got to get tools out and whatnot, you get the you get a disaster site. But it's the same with the lazarette. When I pull stuff out of the lazarette, the whole place fills up with stuff. So that's just life on a boat, and that's what we've got to deal with. Alrighty, and back to work. Let's see if it goes.